Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Tomatolito Show, and let's jump right in. Let's review what we saw this past Saturday. Awesome fight. To me, it was an awesome display of boxing between Danny Garcia and Errol Spence. I saw some comments where people were thinking that this fight was a dud, that the fight could have been more exciting, and you have to attribute that to the perfect execution on behalf of Errol Spence. He set the pace, much like I was talking about on the preview show. I saw Errol Spence being able to set the tone of the fight if he was able to establish his distance to where it allows him to execute his boxing from a comfortable point in the ring, and he constantly keeps that distance. He keeps that gap between him and the other fighter because of his reach. He utilizes his reach fairly well, and so it's something that I've caught onto in his last few fights. However, for me, what I was seeing was, at least prior to the fight, my belief was that if Danny Garcia was able to take away some of that distance and be willing to take some hits, play the gambit, basically, be willing to take some hits in order to compromise that distance that Errol Spence is accustomed to using to his favor, then Danny Garcia would have some success in a closer range fight. Now, he tried, and he had some good punches. He executed some decent punches in which he did mark up Errol Spence somewhat to the face, but not as damaged as Danny Garcia walked out of the fight. His left eye took the major brunt of the damage, and that was due to the jab. Errol Spence's jab was on point. He pitched the perfect plan. He knew what he wanted to do, and he stuck with it. He knew the jab was working. Very stiff jab, very consistent jab, and right around the second round is when I saw that the jab started being effective. You almost had the feeling, watching the way that Danny Garcia was fighting, that at some point he was going to let loose, and it didn't happen. It just, you were left with that sense of waiting for Danny Garcia to just explode, and it didn't happen. A lot of it had to do in which, when he did fight a short range fight and he got inside the pocket, Errol Spence was ready for that. Normally, and at least for me, I was thinking Danny Garcia might have had a shot to catch him off guard. Errol Spence was ready to give up the space, fight inside the pocket, or the phone booth, as they say, and he was ready by pushing Danny Garcia back out to a distance by way of body shots, and he executed some heavy body shots that he landed on Danny Garcia, and he would go right back to the jab, reclaim his spacing, reclaim his distance, and it was masterful in a way, what Errol Spence, the way that he boxed on Saturday night. The cobwebs are gone, like he said in a post-fight interview. If anybody was doubting or being doubtful as to what version of Errol Spence would show up, especially coming off of that long layoff and coming off of that really bad car accident that he had, people weren't sure what version of Errol Spence would show up, how much that accident affected Errol Spence and the layoff. It was almost as if he had just fought a few months back. He picked up where he left off, and he looked good. He looked strong. His speed is there, his technique is there, his skill is there, and his generalship. The way that he controlled the ring, the way that he was able to move in and out, and push the pace on Danny Garcia, rather than have Danny Garcia, which is what I was thinking was going to happen, Danny Garcia pushing forward. We saw Danny Garcia on his back foot more often than not. Now, Danny Garcia got away with some big punches. He did land some big overhand punches. He landed some really good hits to the head, but nothing significant, or at least nothing that he capitalized on to where he could have switched the flow of the fight or switched the momentum to his favor. Errol Spence would get hit, would recapture his distance, his spacing, and would start landing that jab again and keep Danny Garcia at bay. And the story of the night was that jab. Awesome jab, awesome job by Errol Spence. And now you got some of the commentary was mentioning that Danny Garcia should possibly make an attempt at moving up to 154. Look, Danny Garcia to me is as live a dog as any of the top contenders there at the welterweight division. And I have him right next to Keith Thurman. I have him right next to Mikey Garcia at that. Jesse Vargas is in there. Sean Porter, of course. And then you got the Manny Pacquiao has to be a notch above those guys, even though he's aging, right? And he's on the latter part of his career. But there's two chairs that are leading this room, two chairs in the front row, and they're both occupied at the moment. And you have Errol Spence and you have Terrence Crawford sitting there side by side as the 1A and 1B, or the 1A, 1A. I mean, you name it, this fight has to happen. We have to be able to unify and get this match so we have an undisputed champion at 147. Spence Crawford is a fight to make, and hopefully we get to see it sooner than later. Awesome fight, awesome card as well. You saw Josecito Lopez pull out a victory. You saw Fundora, who's a fairly tall fighter, very impressive fight and stoppage on his end. And so fun card overall, and awesome. I thought the fight was awesome. It was going to be very technical. It was going to be boxing at its highest level, or at least near its highest level. And we saw a masterful performance on behalf of Errol Spence, and let everybody know that, hey, he's the top dog at welterweight, and Terrence Crawford made his case a few weeks back as well. So let's hope that we get to see this fight for the undisputed, the lineal championship at welterweight between Terrence and Errol Spence. Of course, it would be mostly public opinion, right? Because there's still one title that's flowing out there, and that's around Manny Pacquiao's waist. So that would prevent either of these guys from actually securing all the titles. Nonetheless, by public opinion, we know who the man would be at that weight division should these two fight, and we have the victor come out on top, whether it be Spence or Crawford. So I don't know I don't think we're going to get that fight next. I think Spence is possibly going to get Manny Pacquiao next. It's going to be an easier fight, being that both of them are involved with PBC. For Terrence, I don't know what's next for him. Hopefully a big name like a Sean Porter or a Thurman, but that's going to be hard as well because of promotional companies. And he's been having his issues with Bob Arum as well. So who knows where he goes? Who knows if he stays with Top Rank or if he ends up making the jump over to PBC. And you bet that if that happens, all those big fights are going to be just a matter of time. So awesome fight on behalf of Spence. Masterful performance in my eyes. And let's see what we got coming up next. But let me know what you guys think, what you guys thought of the fight. And if you guys enjoyed it, if you guys didn't like it, let me know why. I thought it was an awesome performance. And also, this is the 50th episode. So thank you guys for your continued support, for continuing to listen, for lending your ear to me for a few minutes at a time. And this is our 50th episode. I can't believe that we already got to 50, and I got 50 more planned, and we'll be coming up with some more episodes here in the coming days. So thank you guys again for tuning in to the Tomatolito Show, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.